Friday for the Mental Resilience Workshop. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And welcome to Ebony Ambassador, a Mental Resilience Workshop. Today's event has been tagged Understanding Your Body. As we all know, this Mental Resilience Workshop is something that has been ongoing for the past 1 year. Due to the pandemic, we started this in order to uplift women, encourage women, strengthen women, and more so to give us something to do so that we're not just at home and we're bored, while obviously we couldn't go out or even like relate to one another the way we would normally do in an event. So this is one of it that we started, and I'm so glad that we are back. Today is a very, very big topic, and I feel like something that every one of us is going to benefit from. Is about understanding your body. As we all know, our body is a very important tool that works for us. But the thing is, do we work for our body? And I feel like those are the questions, or should I say, those are the things that we're going to be learning today. We have 3 great speakers today. They're going to be talking to us. We have 3 different topics in mind. We have mental health, we have cancer in men and women, and we have menopause. Now, when I read this, I was like, menopause, like, we haven't gotten to that fast. But one thing I actually noticed, I guess I've observed in the last year, is a lot of people don't even know until they actually get to that point and they start trying to figure out what are these signs, how do I cope with this? So I feel like it's very important for us to know these things early. So I personally am very, very looking forward to this, because I want to know well in advance before I get there, so I can see the things that I can do, the things that we can do to help us, or even how to cope. So it's never too early for us to learn this. So thank you once again for joining us on this amazing day. It's the first day of the month of April. So happy new month. I was looking for an April. Happy new month. I was looking for an April Fool game to play, but trust me, I couldn't get you one. So, but I'm sure before this event is over, I am going to get everyone on the April Days event, okay? I'm going to get everyone on that. So without wasting too much of our time, very quickly, like I said, before we start this event, I like to loosen up. I like everyone to relay. I like everyone to be part of it. It's not just our speakers. We'd like everyone to get involved, because this is what this event is all about. We want you to be able to feel like you've done something, you've interacted, you've engaged. So very quickly in the chat box, that's where we get engaged. I want everyone to go on there, especially if you're new to this platform, please just go on there. All you have to do is just introduce yourself. Just write your name and tell us what you do. S phone, iPhone, can you please put yourself on mute? We can hear you.
Oops.
S iPhone, thank you.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So please, very quickly, everyone, just introduce yourself in the chat box. I'm not sure if you're aware, there's a chat box. If you just click on that, all you have to do is just put your name and tell us what you do. Feel free to leave your social media as well. This is an amazing platform that is full of, like, entrepreneur and, business women and men. So I'm sure any one of us, will be happy to like patronize you, see what you do, engage with you after this event. So please go in the chat box and introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and leave your social media as well. And I'm going to be reading some of it out as we go along, okay? So we're going to play the first game before we get into the program. The title of today's event is called Understanding Your Body. Now, before we go into anything at all, I want you to go into the chat. Yep, that's another thing we do. And tell me, what is the one thing you've learned about, I guess, your body in the last year? When I say something you've learned, it could be something you just discovered. It could be something that maybe you came across and you're not sure about it. It could be something that maybe you yourself, but then maybe someone else don't know. Anything at all that feels like understanding your body. It could be any part of your body. It could be your mouth, your nose, your hair. It could even be your wig, because it's on your body. And I say, if you bought it, it's yours, okay? So anything at all that you feel is part of you understanding your body. So please do go in the chat box and just tell us one thing that you've learned about understanding your body, okay? I'm going to give 2 minutes for that. Very, very quickly, we're going to run through that and we're going to read that. So I am in the chat box right now, okay? I can see Waggy saying, good evening, everyone. Happy new month. My name is Sandra Isaac. Hi, I'm Wafa. Hello, I'm Amdaya. Thank you. Hello, I'm Adama. I'm a student studying health and social care. Now, that is how you introduce yourself. Thank you, Adama. Lovely to have you here. And I'm sure you're going to be benefiting from this, being that you're studying health and social care. So I feel like this is something you're really going to enjoy. Okay, Queen B here say, hello everyone, Beatrice Christopher, aka Queen B, mindset coach. Happy new month. Social media is on there. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I'm sure people will be able to go through your social media. Good evening, everyone. My name is Moji. I am a business owner. Hello, Moji. Thank you for joining us. Feel free to pull your business and do if it's Instagram so that we can have a look at your business and hopefully we can patronize you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so very quickly, anyone want to say what we understand about our body? While we wait on that, I am going to go into the lady who has put this together. As we all know, like I said, this is something that has been going over the course of 1 year. And, you know, this lady saw that this is something that needed to be done. She took the initiative to say, I normally would do events to empower women. So why don't we take, you know, opportunity of this time that we are home to actually do something that we still feel like, you know, we can still encourage and we can still empower and uplift women. And this lady is, you know, she wears many hats, like I like to call her. She does so many things. So this is just one part of what she does. And she is the CEO of Ebony Ambassador, which is a charity organization here in the UK. And also they are the one that hosts the yearly contest of Miss Ebony Ambassador, which is a yearly event. The next one is coming up in July 2021. And I believe 2022. We are in 2022 already. She's going to be talking to us a little bit about that later on. But very quickly, I would like to introduce the lady and she can tell us, you know, what this event is about and our sponsors and shout out. So over to you, the CEO of Ebony Ambassador, Irene Eribo Ani.
Hello, everyone. Good evening for joining this event. I appreciate you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today. Ebony Ambassador is a community interest company, mostly known for its skills empowerment program. We started this event, mental resilience workshop and food distribution, due to the pandemic, as it was a need in our society to keep people engaged and also to support people that are either lost their job and they're struggling in terms of how to feed their family. So we got funded by the big lottery fund to take up that project. We did that last year for 6 months, and we reapplied, and the project was also, the funding was granted again for us to keep on the work that we've done last year. So we intend to be doing this every three Fridays from now till September. We'll be coming up with different topics just for us to either learn new things, improve in what we've learned before, and to also keep people engaged while we come out from the pandemic that we all found ourselves in. I think that's all I'll say for now. But once again, I want to thank everyone for being here today. It is a great privilege that you took time out of your busy schedule to be here. So I want to say thank you so much. And I believe that all our speakers today will really do justice to the topic that we've picked. Once again, I want to say thank you, and over to you, Goldie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, very quickly, I'm back in the chat. And I can see so many introductions. Like, it's really, really amazing to see the way everyone is like really like introducing themselves. Honestly, I feel like everyone needs to go in there and just like read the moment. Thank you, everyone. I'm not going to be able to read everything, but thank you very much. I'm seeing all of it, and I'm sure everyone on this platform can see all of it as well. I have Josephine here, mom of 2, living in the UK, inspired healthy lifestyle, a fashion designer, event decorator, and a business owner in the world of technology and e-commerce. Thank you very much, Josephine. Please put your undo, whether your social media, Facebook or Instagram, so that we can follow you or we can patronize you after this event. It's very, very important because that's the only way we can stay in touch. Thank you very much, everyone. Once again, I'm still going to throw the question, understanding your body. What have you learned about understanding your body? please feel free to put the question in the box, and then I'm going to come back to it. So we're going to go into our first speaker. But before that, I just want to say once again, for those who have just joined us, we have 3 topics that we're going to be covering today. We have mental health awareness. Waggy Nota, could you please mute yourself? Please. Thank you, Waggy. Okay. So we have mental health awareness. We have cancer in men and women, and we have menopause. Now, all these 3 topics covers different areas of health, and I'm sure every one of us can benefit, if not from all 3 of them, at least 1 or 2 of them. I'm pretty sure you want to like. So, on every topic that we discuss today, we're going to have one speaker talk about one topic, one speaker talk about the other topic, and the other topic. So the first topic we're going to go into is menopause. Like I said earlier, this is not something that we talk about enough, and I'm really glad that we have this lady here talking about this, because she's very, very passionate about her work. She's very passionate about what she does. And, you know, I'm just like really, really looking forward to it. And I have my notes and paper here because I want to learn about menopause. Yes, I said it. I know. I'm very young, but I want to learn. Okay. So I'm going to introduce our first speaker. Okay. Very, very quickly. Okay. Our first speaker is Antonia Adebisi Adebowale, and she is going to be taking us through the topic of menopause. So I'm going to read her profile very quickly. Antonia Adebisi Adebowale is a business coach, mentor, marketing consultant, and community development specialist. Passionate about developing and working with women. Independent sales director and beauty consultant with Mary Kay Cosmetics. She specializes in skincare, business coaching, and leadership development. Founder of Women to Women Mentoring Network, a mentoring network for women. Also founder of the Mulan Beauty Directory in Nigeria, which is Nigeria Mulan.ng, if you want to find out about that, which I'm sure she's going to put the details in the chat for anyone that might want to learn. So please welcome our first speaker of today, talking about menopause. Please, with an open mind, take your pen and paper and let's learn about this, because we are going to be quizzing you at the end of this, okay? And very quickly, just to say before I invite Antonia, sorry, I forgot to say this in the beginning, this event is being recorded. As we are all aware, we record this every single time we have this event, because we like to give the opportunity to people that are not able to attend the event so that they can watch later on. And we normally share it on our social media platform, which is Facebook or any other social media platform. But I just want to say very quickly, because we're talking about health relating topics today, we're going to have a section in the show where we're going to be giving you the opportunity to ask questions, any health relating question at all you want to ask, because we have specialists in the house that can really, really talk us through things that we might not have an idea of, or we've been struggling with, or you just want to know more about it. So at that period, I just want to assure everyone, we are going to stop the recording so that you are safe to ask the question. You are safe to talk about anything you want to talk about, and it doesn't leave this place. But if at all you're not comfortable to still ask that question in front of everyone, our speakers are going to be available for you to ask them questions later on, which we're going to give you the information at the end of the program, okay? So please just keep an open mind and just know that everyone is welcome to share and ask questions when we get to that point, okay? All right, back to our speaker. I know she's ready to go. Please welcome our first speaker of today, Lady Antonia Bisi Adebowale.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to Ebony Ambassador, CEO Ebony Ambassador Goldiva. Thank you so much for that lovely welcome and introduction. And good evening, Professor Jayasimi. Dr. Tony is here, I believe, and to everyone, and to all my sisters that I've invited here today. Good evening to you all. Wow. So this is something I'm really passionate about, and I love to speak out about things that I'm passionate about, right? And I'm speaking about menopause, something that people rarely talk about in our community, right? And so for me, I love to speak about something that people rarely talk about. And something that really does affect our lives in many ways. So, today's topic is understanding your body, and I've been working with women for so many years, over 10 years now I've been working with women, and I've, sort of observed a lot of things along the line. And because I'm passionate about women anyways, so anything that concerns women, I'm passionate about. So I remember many years ago, and I was telling one of my uncle, who is my dad's brother, we were talking about menopause, and he said, that thing really, you need to take it serious, because that thing really affects a lot of home. It has caused a lot of broken marriages, because they had a session in church in Nigeria. A reverend father put it together like a conference, and they found out that a lot of marriages have been affected because of menopause. So this is something that we really need to look at. So today we're going to just be looking at just having a basic understanding of what is menopause and what should you be looking out for. And it does affect people in many, many ways, and in different ways. So what happens to Mrs. B? The way Mrs. B will experience menopause would be different from the way Mrs. A will experience menopause. Some people don't even experience anything. They just go through it and that's it, right? So I'm just going to sort of define it and just let's even understand what is menopause, because to be honest, when I speak to people, some people don't even have a clue, right? So menopause occurs when a woman's ovaries stop producing an egg every 4 weeks, right? So like every 4 weeks, we produce egg, then there's menstrual cycle and things like that from that. So, but when it stops, then that's menopause. In the UK, the average age for a woman to reach menopause is 51, according to UK statistics. Though some women experience it in their 30s or 40s. So I had early menopause. There's something called early menopause, and then when it's considered normal. So for me, I started my menopause when immediately I hit 40, I went into menopause, and that was many years ago, and I didn't know it was going to even last this long. I kept asking people, how long does this thing ask? So it does really last for years, like 10 years, 12 years, or more or less. So menstruation can sometimes stop suddenly when reaching menopause. However, it is more likely that periods will become less frequent with longer intervals between each one before they stop altogether. So for me, I think I didn't notice, it was just not very regular, and I didn't know what that means. And all of a sudden, as I hit my 40s, it just stopped. And since then, that was it. And that was like 8 years ago, right? So a diagnosis of menopause is when there is no period for 12 consecutive months. That means the doctor would now say you are going through menopause after you have not seen it for 12, you've not seen your period for 12 months. It's not the off and on, but the actual non, you're not seeing period at all for 12 months, then you're actually fully in menopause. That's what it's considered to be. So there's perimenopause and there's menopause. So perimenopause or menopause transition begins several years before the menopause itself, right? So it's a transition, like, there's some signs that begin to happen, and that's where you need to start to be observant of your body, yeah? And to be curious as well. So being observant is one, being curious is another, right? So the ovaries gradually make less estrogen, yeah? And it lasts until menopause. Yeah, so it was a gradual thing that we need to know. And during that, I was speaking to a sister of mine, I think it was last year or so. I haven't spoken to her for a while. And when we got talking, and she's still quite young, she's much younger than me, maybe about 3 years younger than me. And she was like, and she's going to perimenopause. But time we spoke, I said, you're going to perimenopause. But it had started to affect her mood. She started to have depression for a while. She said she couldn't go out, she couldn't talk to anybody. And I think lockdown made it worse and things like that. She get irritated. She told me so many things that she went through. She didn't want to speak to anybody. If it was a few months ago that I called her or sent a text to her, she would have responded to me and that sort of thing. And I'm like, wow, you're going through this. I didn't know. So I had to share my own story. And when we share our story, when we're going through things, let's not hold it. Let's share it as well. So let's look at some of the things you begin to experience and you need to be observant of. And when you're observant, it means that something is not, this is not a usual thing that happens to me. And, you know, sometimes it's multiple things that are happening and changing our body. So when you put those multiple things together, be curious enough to do a research and check. What is this? Are these things related? You know, are these things related? 1, 2, 3 things, they're happening. Are they related? So you need to be curious, ask questions, ask those who are specialists, like doctors. You know, everybody has like a nurse or doctor that is their friend in their family or something. So you can always ask questions. You can always also go to do a bit of research as well online and just read about things. And then it just gives you an awareness. There are even some forums where people talk about what they are experiencing, you know. So some of the things that you begin to notice when you're on perimenopause is things like off flushes. It doesn't happen just like that. Sometimes it will happen for like a few weeks and then it will stop. So off flushes is when you sort of suddenly start to feel this heat inside of you, sort of coming out, right? It's just like, it's like, you just feel like, what's this? I feel like the first time I ever experienced it, I thought, because I just came back from Nigeria, I'm having malaria. That's what I thought. I think I have malaria, but I've used malaria tablets. I think I have malaria, but then I don't think it was malaria. It was just a sign. So sometimes you might start to see those signs. They come and they go. Then your period is not very frequent. If you start to have infrequent periods, there are many reasons why your period can be infrequent, but the most common one is when you're reaching period, especially when you are around 40s, start to be observant, you know. And one thing is that I'll tell you, another sign is weight gain. So now I used to be very slim, very skinny, and I eat anything. Like I love to eat cakes. I love to eat cakes. And I used to tell people that I don't have problem. In our family, we don't put on weight. We are all slim. We are all fine, you know. And so if I put on a bit of weight and I just reduce what I eat for like 2-3 weeks, I just lose the weight. So I was completely fine. So I can eat anything, ice cream, whatever. And then all of a sudden, when I do those things that I do, you know, reduce food a bit, nothing happens. And then I started to put on weight in some part of my body that even people were asking, is she pregnant? People will ask me, my friends, is Antonia pregnant or something? Because, you know, everything at the back, at the front, everything started to get a bit bigger. And then I was trying so many things. All the things I used to try didn't work again. I was like, is this what's going to happen? What's going on? You know, some of my clothes were not, you know, I wasn't able to fit into some of my clothes again. And so that is when you have to, so what I will say is that even before you reach menopause, or even the perimenopause, you need to start watching what you eat. Don't let it happen because it's so difficult to lose that weight. It's so difficult. So you need to start watching what you eat, like eat carbohydrates, a little carbohydrates frequent times. You don't eat a lot at a time, you know, so you need to start watching it. Don't wait till it happens. Don't say to yourself, I'm a slim person and that's it, you know. You have to start, you know, doing those exercise, build the habit of exercising yourself before all this thing occurs, because when they occur, I will tell you all the problems that will come with it. It will become more difficult, right? So it is better to build a habit before you start to reach it. Then you have night sweats. So the off flushes, after a while, for some people, it might become very frequent. You just start to feel heat. A lot of people started to feel this heat right inside of them, and they feel like I don't know what it is. So many people have told me they didn't know what it was. They just feel hot. So that is a sign of perimenopause or menopause, that you're getting closer to it. Then we have what we call the night sweat. So sometimes it might not be hot flushes. It might just be when you just lie down at night to sleep, you start feeling hot and sweaty, right? And then there's difficult sleeping because you're hot. Hot flushes makes you wake up. Just wake up every now and then. By the time you wake up in the morning or throughout the day, you're so tired. You go to work, you're sleeping. And especially it's so hard when you are still working. Maybe you're working 9-to-5 job. You have to go to work. You have to take care of your children, especially when menopause starts early. It's so difficult. So you have to start, you know, maybe drinking water, carrying water everywhere you go. You have to have your bottles. And just hydrate yourself, hydrate yourself when it's happening. And another thing is that exercising as well, because that is needed, and sleeping well, because maybe you didn't used to really have enough sleep. Maybe you just sleep 5 hours, 6 hours, you're fine. By the time you get to menopause and you start feeling those hot flushes and everything, you need to have good night's sleep. You need to find things that relaxes you at night, and then go to bed on time so that you have enough sleep, or have nap in the afternoon if you can. If you can have a nap in the afternoon, it's good, so that you can function well. Another common thing that you need to notice is memory issue. Oh my God. Have you ever experienced, I'm sure some people here have experienced it many times, where you want to get something upstairs, and then you get upstairs, you forget about that thing, but it's not happening frequently. You forget about everything. You put your key here, you can't remember. You put that one here, somebody calls you can't remember. How do you deal with that? Because when it starts to happen, maybe you start to look at some supplements, fish oils, and ginseng and things that will just help your memory. But apart from that, you also need to start looking at writing things down, having a calendar, making sure that you note things down, using tools that will help you to remember things. If not, everybody at home will think something is wrong with you. I even almost burned down the whole of my house one time because I put oil on the cooker, went upstairs, forget about it, the whole kitchen got burnt, So that was some of the things I was going through when this thing started, right? I had to go to tell my doctor that I'm forgetting things too much, So a memory issue, concentration issue as well. It's so difficult to concentrate. If you're just telling yourself that I cannot concentrate, like you can't just, you can't focus on the task at hand, right? You're always distracted, or sometimes you just sit down, you can't just get to do it. You can't just, that is a sign as well. And once you start seeing all this time, look at your period. Is it not very frequent, or has it even stopped? Then you're thinking, then you need to see your doctor. So sometimes you need to see your doctor for them to check your hormonal level. That's one of the things when you start experiencing all these things. Also, low mood and anxiety as well. I'll come to that. You want to go see your doctor, and your doctor can check they have nice hormonal testing that they do, and they can check your hormones. And for me, I did, and they said my hormones were very up and down, all over the place, imbalance. And another thing they need to check is your bone, because you can have bone issue as well. When you get into menopause, especially early menopause, you start to lose bone density. So you need to go for bone density tests for them to start monitoring. In case you're losing a lot of bone density, then doctors have to help you with supplements that might, help you, especially calcium. To be honest, if you reach menopause, you need to start taking calcium, or even perimenopause. You need to take calcium very seriously because of your bone. Your bone will become more brittle. Is it brittle? It won't really be as strong as it used to be anymore. And if you fall down, you might easily break your leg, or I think Dr. Jaisi will probably be able to share more light later if you ask him question about that. But you can have bone issues. You need to start taking your vitamin D, because you're going to get very tired. Sometimes you can't just even go to do normal exercise, your back pain, if you're experiencing all these things all at the same time, all these things happening to you, your mood, you need to go to your doctor and check, right? Check your hormones, check your bones, and start doing things that you need to do. For me, I didn't take the hormonal therapy. Is it HT? Is it? I can't remember what it's called. HTC or something like that, because I didn't take it, so I don't remember. But it's like HRT. Thank you, Professor. So I didn't take HRT because my doctor actually also advised me against it. I'd already read about it, and because I have history of cancer in the family, and there's a little bit of risk, just a little bit of risk of cancer, and I have higher risk. I'm on the higher risk, so I decided not to go for HRT. But HRT can save the life of some people, because you don't want to go into that mode where you probably go into depression, because depression is very common in menopausal women, and people around, family members don't understand, friends, and that's sometimes we have to be aware of what's happening around us, of our friends and family. It might be your friend, or your colleague or your employee at work who is going through this. So please be patient with them. Please understand if you are the boss at work and this woman is always fanning herself. She's always wanting to have a fan or go outside, you know, and she's always forgetting things and a bit tired and sleepy. Please do understand that she's going through something. Let's be considerate of other people around us. You know, if somebody is so forgetful, don't say, she forgot, she did this, you know, she forgot your birthday, so what? You know, you need to be considerate because people can, you know, it's just life happening, you know, so we need to really watch our body. Another thing that you probably experience is skin issues. That is very common. And you know, women, our skin, we don't joke with our skin, right? You want to look good because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel confident. And some of the things you might experience with skin is dryness. Because for some, I mean, it might not start in the beginning. It might just be all of a sudden your skin just gets dry, right? And so you have to then start changing your skincare. You have to move and, you know, shift the skincare products you use. So what you were using before might not work again. So if your skin was oily, you might now need to start using products for dry skin. And that's what I did, right? So it might be that is the dry and oily syndrome. Your skin gets so oily and all of a sudden it's so dry because your hormones are up and down. So you need to then make sure that you are paying attention to that. That, oh, this period, my skin is a bit oily. Let me shift again and use something else. Maybe you have different type of cleansers and moisturizers so that you can shift. And another thing is hair growth. Oh my God, you might feel like, oh, my hair is not so growing that much anymore as it used to grow. And you see a lot of people who are going through menopause, they cut their hair. Why do you think they cut their hair? It's not because of hair growth alone. It's just the heat, the off flushes, the irritation that you get. You know, you just don't feel, you know, you feel irritated all the time. And just, let me just cut this hair off, you know? So that's why, you know, so the irritation as well, when you start feeling a bit irritated, one thing I would say is also let your partners, if you have a partner, children, let them know what you're going through, please. Educate your husband about menopause. Let them know what you're going through so that they can empathize with you, they can understand, so that the day you cannot cook, your husband will understand that, she's going through something. Let me just go and sort out the food. But if you don't say what you're going through, they will just think you're being lazy, you don't care anymore, you're forgetful of everything that you need to do, you know? And especially when you're not at the age where you're supposed to be going through it, nobody understands. So you have to communicate it to the people around you. That is so, so important, you know. So you need to take care of your psychological, you know, take time to rest, go away with friends, have fun, you know, just go out, have dinner, just have, you know, you need to take care of yourself and stay happy and find things that make you feel happy, that you're passionate about to do, to distract you sometimes from what you're going through. And you also have to take care of your skin. That is very, very important. Take care of it, because sometimes another thing you can go through on your skin is melasma. Melasma is when you start to get darker, you produce more melanin in the skin, and no woman, especially Black women, we don't like to have uneven skin tone or go darker. And a lot of women are going through that, you know. So melasma, because hyperpigmentation, you have the one on the dermis, on the one inside. So melasma is caused by hormones, and it's very difficult to deal with unless you get the right skincare product that will tackle it. And it takes a while. You have to be patient and look after yourself. So self-care is very important during menopause. You know, mental self-care, physical self-care, staying happy, staying hydrated, taking good nutritional how would I say, supplements. So you want to make sure that you eat well as well, and watch what you eat and watch your body. Just watch what is happening to your body. Pay attention and be curious to learn what you need to do. Be curious, look at HRT. Don't listen to people. Don't let somebody tell you, don't take this. Go to your doctor and speak to them. Let your doctor tell you whether HRT is the best for you or not, or what type of HRTs there is, so that you can find the one that you can use. But sometimes when you just listen to people's opinion, or you go on YouTube and you're listening to things, they might just mislead you. So you really need to speak to specialists, because they are the ones that understand how these things work, right? And do your own research as well. I'm not saying you shouldn't do your research, but also take your research to your specialist and discuss with them. So this is where I'm going to stop. If anybody has any questions, I might not have covered everything, because some people might say, okay, what about this? I feel this, but these are the most common things that you sort of go through. The anxiety is the one that I probably didn't mention, I wanted to mention. Anxiety can just happen all of a sudden. It might be something that triggers it. well, for me, COVID triggered it. When COVID started, that triggered anxiety for me. And I didn't understand it was anxiety. I thought I had even had COVID. Because my chest is always, Another thing is when I drive on the motorway, there was a time when I drive on the motorway, I feel like my chest is, I'm so scared of something and my chest is up. I just felt it was a strange thing and I've never felt it before. So what I did was I started asking people, do you know about, this is what I'm feeling. And then people start telling me that, people feel, they go through this thing when they're going through menopause as well. It's sort of like an anxiety and palpitation and things like that, So again, you need to be aware and then speak to people so that you can learn, even people who are experiencing these things. What are they doing? How do they help themselves? Then you can help yourself. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. That was really, really great. That was really, really great. Thank you very much. We have a lot to cover on that. Very quickly, if anyone have any question at all they want to give throw to Antonia based off of what she's covered, please do put it in the chat box, or we are going to be taking the question at the end once all of our speakers are finished. I believe we're going to be taking the question. But if anyone have anything right now that they want to direct to Antonia, we can take a few questions. But at the end of it, we are going to be taking like a question to cover the whole broad. Very quickly, I just want to touch on the fact that you mentioned the fact that there's some symptoms, obviously, that you haven't mentioned. And I believe there's some people here that maybe they might have experienced such symptoms. So if you feel like you've experienced anything at all that maybe she hasn't mentioned, and you feel like maybe that's part of your own story, you want to share that or you want to add to that, please feel free to either signify or just put that in the comment section. Or at the end of it, like I said, we're going to be throwing the question to all of our speakers. Okay, I can see Mojisola has raised her hand. Okay, so I'm going to go to hello. Hi, Mojisola.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Antonia, for inviting me. Everything you said, just to on point with everything that you just mentioned. I experienced every single thing at 45. I started my menopause at 45. I'm 52 in the next month. So I had this for a long time. I never knew it was a menopause. And I never go to doctor. I was never diagnosed because I didn't realize it was a menopause. But one thing, another symptom that I went through was irritation. I get irritated with everything, every little thing. I get irritated and I get upset easily. And that wasn't me. It was then I was thinking something's not right, that something's wrong with me. And that is like after 2-3 years that I've been going through that, that menopause period. So that's one thing that people need to look out for. When you get irritated and it's not normally you or not part of your behavior, then you need to go to the doctor. But I didn't go to the doctor during my time until like 2 years before the GP diagnosed. It might be that it definitely was a menopause that I went through. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that symptom.
All right, thank you very much, Mojisola. Thank you for that contribution. I'm sure a lot of us obviously can, take that in. Thank you very much. Like I said, we are going to be taking questions at the end of it. We want to be able to answer the question in a broad way. And like I said, just because we're recording right now, in case that anyone doesn't want to ask any question that wants to be recorded while the program is going on, that's what we want to try and do, the question section at the end, so that way everyone can be free to ask and basically share their experience as well. And I just want to commend you, Antonia, very quickly. I love the fact that you were very open with your story. I mean, when you first started talking, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I would have been able to say that I went through that or something like that, but I feel like you even opening up and saying that, I feel like it would actually make every one of us here feel okay. Like, even if you went through it at such a young, age, like you said, but I just feel like, thank you very much for opening up and sharing that story. I feel like that definitely would encourage every one of us and make us feel better about it when we do get there. Okay, so very quickly, we're going to go into our second speaker. But before we do that, I can see we have a full house tonight. Like, it's so amazing to see all these beautiful faces. And it's so amazing to see everyone getting involved in the chat as well. If you're just joining us, that was our first speaker. That was Antonia Adebisi, and she spoke on menopause. So in case you missed that, don't forget, This event is being recorded. You can watch it at a later date on Ebony Ambassador's page. That was our talking about menopause. And at the end of it, like I said, we're going to be able to take questions. So if you miss anything, you can catch up over there. If you're just joining us, please do go in the chat box. We'd like to, get involved and interact. Go in the chat box and just introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and leave your social media as well so that we can, chat at the end, or we can follow each other in the world of social media. You follow me, I follow you, but no, basically just leave your social media so that we can engage with each other at the end of this. And we'd like to obviously keep you in contact as well so that you'll be aware when next Ebony Ambassador is having their next event as well. I'm just going to call on a very few quick names that have just joined us and that I've just noticed. Dele, thank you for joining us. Felicity, thank you for joining us. Keziah, thank you for joining us. Erica Bello, thank you for joining us. Omolola, thank you for joining us. And I asked a question just before we went into our first speaker, and I said, what is it that you've learned about understanding your body? And I have a very, very amazing answer here. This is from Amdalat, and she said, I am understanding my body in terms of practicing a skill of beautifying my face, which is doing my makeup. And I'm pretty sure every lady here knows how we feel like when you do your makeup and you have your hair done. It's like an extra layer of confidence that comes upon you. Like it just makes you feel good. And I love that, obviously, that makes you feel good. So thank you very much, Amdalat, for sharing that. And once again, please introduce yourself in the comment chat. We have 2 more speakers coming up. Our next speaker is an amazing man. We're actually privileged. We hardly have men speakers, to be honest. So I'm actually really, really excited and honored to be able to have a man speaker in the house tonight. Because usually I feel like we're always very women-based and all of that. So it's good to be able to hear from a man's perspective tonight. And we're really excited about something that I feel every one of us has either, know somebody that's gone through it, heard of someone that's gone through it, even somebody in a family member that's gone through it. That is something that is really big right now. And I feel like it's really important for us to really, really learn about this. So our next speaker goes by the name of Professor Rotimi Jayesimi. And he'll be talking to us. Oh, Andrew, can you please mute yourself? Thank you very much for the contribution. Okay, I'm going to take that again very quickly. So our next speaker goes by the name of Prof. When you see Prof, you already know he's a learned man. Like his professor is like the top of it. So you're getting all the good stuff. He goes by the name of Professor Rotimi Jayesimi, and he is the Group Associate Medical Director, Global Health Expert. So he will be talking to us today on cancer in men and women. And I'm just going to read a little profile very quickly. Professor Rotimi Jayesimi is a 1978 medical graduate of the University of Ibadan, Group Associate Medical Director for Patient Safety, Consultant Obstetrician and Gynecologist, NHS Patient Safety Specialist, Visiting Professor of Law, University of Ibadan, Global Health Expert. That's a hard health word. It's so hard to pronounce. I'm pretty sure I did not say that word right, sir. So please do help me at some point during your, presentation to tell me how to pronounce that word.
Yeah, I'm sure we all understood what you meant.
What I meant.
Obstetrician and gynecologist.
Thank you very much.
I'm a little bit nervous this evening because I'm surrounded by women. Thank God I heard the name Andrew.
There's a gentleman.
Andrew is here.
Yeah, so and Dele, so they will be.
And Elozona, they are a lot now in the house.
So they'll be supporting me this evening.
Yeah.
You made reference to skincare. Antonia and Tony look after me. I won't say more than that. And just to say a big thank you to Ebony Ambassadors for inviting me to come and share my views about cancer screening, and to Goldiva Ola for a wonderful hostess that you are and moderator. I'll try and see if I can share my slide. And before I do that, one of the things I say is because these are personal health issues, they remain within the house. And as we've been told, when we get to the Q&A session, we'll go off recording. We'll not record that because we want all of us to feel free. And one of the promises we've given is that even if we can't answer your question online, we'll do it offline. So once you contact Ebony ambassadors, we'll be prepared to answer your questions sometime next week if they come up. I think Antonia made reference to the bone. That's correct. After the menopause, women and men lose their bone strength. And that's why a lot of people fracture their hips in their old age. That's because of the menopause due to estrogen loss. I know she made reference to my name, and so I just wanted to support what she was saying, that she was correct in what she was saying.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you. The host has, can I be given permission to share my slides, please?
Okay. Yeah, let me make you a host, or co-host, sorry. Can't find Prof.
You can find me.
No, there's a lot of people here today. Okay, yeah, I can see you now.
Yeah.
Let me make you a host. Co-host, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at it, sir.
So like I said, thank you to Ebony ambassadors as well as to Goldiva. And again, to say thank you to all other panelists for taking time out on a Friday evening to come and share their thoughts, as well as to people who have attended. You may have chosen to go and do something else, but you've chosen to come and listen to what we have to say. You've heard a little bit about me, so we won't go into that. And what we will be looking at today is screening for cancer, as well as early detection of cancer. And that's the outline I intend to follow. I have no declaration of interest to make. We'll look at what screening is, what cancer is, the effect cancer has on us, how we can prevent it, why do we have to screen for cancer, early symptoms of cancer, definitive diagnosis, and we'll come to a conclusion. Now, you'll hear a number of people, when they hear the word tumor, then they think that's cancer. In the medical world, at times we use the word tumor for cancer, but not every tumor is cancerous. For example, you could hear people say, oh, fibroids are tumors. And what tumors means, they're just swellings, but they are simple swellings. But when it's cancer, they are cancerous or malignant tumors or masses. So we use them interchangeably, but please do not be scared when somebody says, oh, you've got a tumor, unless they say it's a cancerous tumor. So what is cancer? Cancer refers to a large number of diseases whereby abnormal cells just grow, they get out of hand and continue to multiply and destroy the body. And it can spread to anywhere in the body. It can start from anywhere and spread to other parts of the body. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the world. So it shows how common it is. But one good thing is that the survival rate is getting better. And that's because of screening, early treatment, and again, prevention. And anybody can get it. Babies do get cancer, children get it, young adults and people of both sexes can develop cancer. So no one is immune from having cancer. So what is screening? Screening is when you're looking for cancer before that person has symptoms. when cancers develop or when they start growing, they are tiny little cells. So you may not know. There may not be any visible sign to tell you that cancer is beginning to happen. And that's why for certain conditions, and thank God to science, we now have the ability to screen. And when we see minor abnormalities, then we can intervene early. And when we intervene early, the uptake, the outlook is very good. When abnormal tissue cancer is found early, it may be easier to treat rather than when it's spread all over the place, then it becomes more difficult to treat. Now, one of the reasons I'm sure we're talking about this today is the low uptake of screening services in our own community, that is in the Black, and if you want to say Asian community as well. And these things are free. So why are we afraid? Why are we as a people not avail ourselves of these services that are free, that are meant to help us? Well, don't be jealous that I have two beautiful cars. God will provide you your own in due course. But why I have put this picture here, when you buy a new car, you don't do any MOT for 3 years. The government doesn't expect you to do MOT. But after 3 years, every year, you must take your car to the garage for an MOT. And if it fails a single thing, then your car will be deemed not roadworthy. And what does your MOT involve? They look at your window screen, they look at your tire, they look at the intensity of your lights, your wipers, they look at various things, your brakes, and if it fails any of this, then it doesn't pass. And if we can do this to objects such as this, an MOT is almost like screening for defects in cars. And what I tell people is, if we can do this for our cars, then why can't we do it for our bodies? The other analogy I give is the engine oil. When your engine oil in the car is going down and down, if you don't top it up, the engine is going to knock. Then you're going to buy a new car or you buy a new engine. For the human being, if the engine oil, let's just use that analogy, is going down and down and we don't do anything to it, when the engine knocks, then you're talking of transplant, which is not easy to get, and there's no certainty that a transplant is going to succeed. And this is why I am pushing for our people to avail ourselves of screening for cancer so that it is detected early. I was joking when I said these were my cars. It's my birthday is tomorrow. And if any one of you feels like giving me keys, I will welcome it. Thank you. So what are the effects of cancer? Cancer, if not caught early, will eventually result in death. But not every cancer kills. And the earlier we get it, some are even curative. You can cure them. And the reasons people are afraid, they're afraid of cancer, the C word, even some doctors don't want to use the word cancer when talking to patients. They go mumbling and mumbling. But nowadays we are encouraged to tell the patients exactly as it is. Then anxiety. And then when they say, oh, you've got cancer, is it a death sentence? No, it isn't a death sentence. And science has made curative rates better. And screening allows for early detection and far better survival rates. And when you find anything abnormal, what I tell people is this: you know your body. I mean, that's the theme of our program, knowing your body. You know your body. And when you think there's something not right with my body, please see your doctor early. And I'll put it there. It's not your village people. This is one of the things that I think scares people. It must be some uncle, auntie, somebody who doesn't like me, somebody who's jealous. No, it isn't. Cancer, we don't know why it happens. There's a genetic basis for it. And I will tell you my story. Maybe I should say it now. I'm not shy to say it. I've had prostate cancer. I had no symptoms, but I did my MOT, and that's how I got it. And I got treated, and I'm cured, and I'm well, 100% well. My family, my mother had 5 sisters. I think 3 or 4 of them had breast cancer. I have, as a man, men do get breast cancer. As a man, and because of the strong family history of breast cancer in my family, I've had 2 first cousins, apart from my aunties, having breast cancer. And I told my colleague at work that, look, I have a strong cancer family. I want to be screened. And he thought, no, they wouldn't do it for you. Okay, but I'll send you to Gosh to see whether you've got the gene or and I had my blood test done. And yes, I have the gene, but it's a low risk for me. But the beauty, when I say the beauty of it, is I can talk to my daughters and my grandchildren, and especially the female ones, and even my son, to say, look, check yourself out, because men also get breast cancer. So how do I put it? Self-disclosure, patient stories are powerful. If I didn't tell any one of you, and like I said, I'm not shy to say these things. I say it when I feel like saying it, and not many people know, and not many of my friends know. But at times when I give talks like this, I say it just to reassure people. I was just doing my blood test, and it was going up, and I thought, hang on. So screening is very good. And I'm not going to ever get prostate cancer, that much I can tell you, because it's gone. So why don't people go for screening? The fear of the unknown. It's not my portion. Oh, the blood of Jesus, I cover myself with the blood of Jesus. God is a healer. God did so many things in the Bible. Jesus did so many things in the Bible. He healed. And he gave us the knowledge to be able to manage these issues. So we mustn't just say, oh, the pastor says I shouldn't use medication, or the pastor says it's only prayer and anointing oil. I believe in that. I'm a person of faith, and I'm not knocking faith at all. But both go hand in hand. They say faith without works is, in Yoruba, they'll say, I'm forgotten what the English word is. But you understand where I'm going for. Faith without work is dead. Yeah, is dead. Yeah. So these are common cancers you will get in women. Cancer of the neck of the womb is called cervical cancer, and it is preventable. Before we had a vaccine for cervical cancer, women from the age of 25 were told to come for their smear test. Initially, it used to be every 3 years, but now it's every 5 years. And what that does is, when they do their test and take the smear, if they find any abnormal cells, these are very simple abnormalities. They are not cancer cells. But when they are destroyed, then women don't go on to develop cancer. But if there are no symptoms really before you go for your smear, but these cells are there and you don't know they're there. And over the years, at times goes by 10, 15 years, then you now start having bleeding or abnormal discharge. And when people take a biopsy, then then they say it's cancer. We remember the lady Goody, who was on was it Big Brother? What was it called then? She died of cervical cancer. But one good thing that has happened in modern world is the development of the Human Papillomavirus. It's a vaccine. It's a vaccine that you give to young girls. They started with girls at around the age of 12 and 13. And it's just to prep them, to prepare the body to be able to fight the virus that we know causes cervical cancer, the human papillomavirus. So they started with girls. Then people said, but boys can carry the virus. They get it. That is the boys that give it to the girls. So why don't you give boys as well? So in the United Kingdom, boys and girls now get the vaccine. With regards to breast, before going to mammography, the advice is that after your period, you should check your breast. Examine yourself. There are ways of examining yourself. If you Google it, you'll find how to do it. You're told to stand in front of the mirror to make sure that the nipples are at about the same level. To look at the skin. If the skin around your breast is looking like the skin of an orange, then even at that stage, it's not really good news. So those are things that women should look out for. If you find a lump, go to your doctor. I know married people, if your husband says, oh, this lump, I can feel something, don't just ignore it. Please seek the advice of your general practitioner, who may refer you on to a doctor. And from the age of 50, women are invited for mammograms. And again, in our own community, the uptake is not as high as in the Caucasian community. And these are not painful procedures. Mammograms, having a smear test, they may be uncomfortable, but they are not painful. But it's because at times people think it's a painful procedure, or maybe they will find cancer and I don't want to know whether I got cancer, or I don't want to be treated. I want to go back to heaven with all my bits in place, and I'd rather die from cancer. And again, we have to change our mindset. Men, prostate cancer is one of the commonest. In Black people, it's very aggressive, and younger Black men are getting it. And screening is just by way of a blood test, what we call prostatic serum antigen. And you have it maybe every year. And if the levels are rising, then your doctor will keep an eye on it. It gets to a certain stage where they may say maybe you need a biopsy to make sure that you haven't got prostate cancer. And if you do have it and it's caught early, it can be treated in different ways: X-ray treatment, surgery, laser, different treatments available. When we look at men and women, we can have colonic cancer. And that's why from the age of about 60, at times you will get an envelope in the post asking you to take a sample of your stool, put it in a bottle, and post it back to the center. That's just to screen for bowel cancer. But again, some of us ignore it. We ignore the letter and we don't do it. And like I said, men can have breast cancer. And if there's a very strong family history of breast cancer, especially on the female side, I think the men should be on the lookout as well. Examine yourself. If you see something that is not right, ask your GP, what is this? Could you help me look at it? Now, any part of the body from the head to the toe can have cancers, but these are not very common, and that's why I have lumped all of them onto this slide. Leukemias are there. One of the symptoms that you cannot screen for leukemia, you cannot screen for lymphoma. But when people come to you saying they're feeling very tired, when you check their blood count and they're anemic and their white cell count is altered, then you may do your bone marrow test, and then you say, oh, they've got leukemia, and there's treatment available. Early diagnosis leads to improved chances of being cured. People have brain tumor, persistent headache that doesn't go away, visual disturbance where maybe you can't see the size of your vision, vomiting. When you have things like that, you've taken Panadol or Brufen and it's not going away, please go to your doctor and say, you're worried. What is this? Then throat cancer, difficulty in swallowing. You cannot swallow a bolus of swallow. Then you've got to think what's going on here. You must present to your doctor, and then they'll refer you to the hospital for assessment. A lot of people smoke, and yet they don't get lung cancer. But what people are told is if you have a long-standing cough for 2 weeks that doesn't go away, then you should seek advice from your general practitioner. And usually what they start off with is they take sputum, and they may even send you for a chest x-ray just to make sure that there's nothing in the chest. If you have your chest x-ray and there's nothing, you have your saliva sputum test and there's nothing, that's reassuring. But if after another 6 weeks, you're still having that cough, then that's where you have a more deeper imaging, MRI scans or CT scans, just to make sure that there's nothing in the lungs. Unexplained weight loss, blood in the stool, altered bowel habits must be reported to your doctor because it may be bowel cancer brewing. And until you're examined either by way of colonoscopy, the fecal occult test, then you may never know whether it's bowel cancer. So these are things one should be on the lookout for. Sarcoma, that is cancer of the bone, it does happen. It's not really a good cancer to have because the mortality rate is high. So if you notice any abnormality in your bones or pain in your bones, then please present to your doctor as early as possible. Family history is key. I think this was where I was going to bring in my family history, but I have told you about my family history. If there's a family history of breast cancer, bowel cancer, prostate cancer, please talk to your GP about it. With a molecular biology now, we're beginning to understand that there's a genetic basis for cancer. So if an auntie or a sister or a sibling has got cancer, the risk is higher. It doesn't mean you will get it, but the risk is higher. And it's better to at least know and then go for early screening. And that's why I have put that slide there. When we talk about symptoms, what I spoke earlier on was about screening. By the time you're getting symptoms, we're now talking of the early phase of cancer. So for cervical cancer, in the very, very early stages, you may not have any symptoms. But when you're having bleeding after intercourse, smelly vaginal discharge, then you must see a doctor, and then they will have a look at the neck of the womb. If possible, do a smear test at that time. If it doesn't look right, then they do a biopsy, and that tells us whether it's cancer or at times nothing. There's something we call erosion, which we get in young people and in people who are on the pill as well. If you look at it, it looks red, it looks nasty, and people bleed during or after intercourse. Those are normal, but you will need a smear test to be certain that there's no abnormality going on. I think I've spoken about lumps in the breast, changes in the skin. If you have a discharge from the nipple, whether it's milky or bloody, please present early to your doctor. Urinary symptoms in men is important. And from the age of 45, we're trying to ask government to even reduce that age to 40 in Black people. And we've spoken about the fecal occult test that you get invited to do from the age of 50, and at some point in time, colonoscopy. In America, everybody gets a colonoscopy every year, just to make sure they don't have bowel cancer. One of the things that I haven't put on my slide here is bladder cancer. If you have blood in your urine, please see your doctor. It may be as simple as a urinary tract infection, but if it is persistent, then you'll have a camera into your bladder to make sure that there's no cancer inside there. If you're passing urine too often, see your doctor so that you get checked out. I've spoken about this, and the reason I put the speculum there, the diagram on the right, when I said people are afraid to go to see their doctor, they think, oh, it's a painful procedure, they don't know what it's about, what's going to happen. And usually what I tell people is when you look at the speculum, initially they used to be metal. So yeah, they could be very cold, but very now we're making them plastic, so they're not as cold as they used to be. And what I tell people is, if the shoulder of a baby can come through the vagina, then this instrument here is very small in comparison to the head of a baby or to the shoulder of a baby. And if you have a good GP or gynecologist, yes, you may feel some slight discomfort. And we're talking for less than 2 minutes. They've done what they want to do, and that's it. So please don't be afraid about going for your smear test when called for. This is the breast cancer gene, which I talked about, BRCA1 and BRCA2. What they do is they help repair damaged DNA. And each individual, you get a copy from your mom and another from your dad. And if there's a family history, say on your mother's side, then there's a possibility that you may have inherited it from your mother's side, just as I have inherited it from my mother's side. But I am reassured that my risk is very low. But even having said that my risk is very low, that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep checking myself. I'm not paranoid. Don't think I'm paranoid. I'm just only doing my own MOT as I will do for my motor car. Then, and the BRCA1, BRCA2 has been associated with breast and ovarian cancer. So if there's a strong family history of breast cancer, speak to your GP. You will get a pushback. Healthcare in the UK is free. Healthcare is expensive. So they'd rather say, no, we don't think they'll do it for you. You can say, but let me try, which is what happened to me. My consultant surgeon said, I don't think they'll do it for you, but I will refer you. And when they referred me and they did their scoring system, they said, no, you qualify to have the test done. And it was just a blood test. Ovarian cancer is, I don't want to say it's bad news, but diagnosis is usually late. The size of the ovaries are about the size of an almond, and they are well tucked inside the abdomen. So when things are going wrong with them, you don't know. But when you know and you go to your GP, or they says gastritis, or it's tummy upset, or is this. But what I tell people, if you have any unusual abdominal symptoms, that's not going away, that you're thinking, this is not right, there's something wrong. You understand? keep knocking on the door of your GP. Keep pushing back to say, no, I'm not happy, I'm worried. And then they can do their CA125 blood test. And if you have a family history, that even strengthens your argument to say, could I have a scan? Could I have a CA125 assay? And if they come back normal, then it's reassuring. Endometrial cancer, we've spoken about the menopause, and we were rightly told that if you've not had a period for 12 consecutive months, that's the menopause. So if you bleed after not having had a period for 12 months, you must see your GP. Endometrial cancer is one of the cancers that the cure rate is very good if you present very early, because if it's caught early, you have your hysterectomy, almost like 100% cure rate. And usually women who bleed after the age of 40, not all of them have any pathology, but we just want to be certain that there's no sinister problem going on. You will not get a DNC before the age of 40, but after the age of 40, if you have any abnormal bleeding, you'll have your scan, you'll have a biopsy, just to make sure there are no polyps or anything as sinister as cancer. Vulvar cancer, that's cancer of the lips of the vagina, not very common in young people, but after the menopause, if you have any ulcers or bleeding or irritation and itching from that area, please see your doctor. They know what to do. If it's an ulcer, they'll take a biopsy. And if it's cancerous, if it's caught early, it may just a simple excision. But if it's spread, then it's a bigger operation that is required. Skin cancer, I think I can't overemphasize this. I say so because we as Black people think we cannot get skin cancer. We can. And I was surprised recently when we were told that even as Black people, we should be using the skin, I'm sure Tony and Antonia know what I'm calling.
Sunscreen.
Yes, sunscreen. Yes, that we should be using it to protect our skin. But no, in Africa, we don't. Here we come and we think we're not at risk of skin cancer. I think we are at risk of skin cancer. So protect yourself. Quite honestly, I don't know the effect of all these bleaching agents on the skin, but I would advise women to desist from it. I've seen people who I know who were dark when I knew them, and when I see them, I think they're English because their skin is like Caucasian skin. And if it's not going to cause cancer, I mean, your skin's gone light. You've taken the melanin away that protects your skin. Then you now sit in the sun, you're at risk of getting skin cancer. Not to talk of the effect it might have on your kidneys. I mean, the chemicals for bleaching. So family history is key, very essential. At times it can be difficult. My grandmother, my mom's mom, I think she died in her 30s or 40s. Quite honestly, I don't know what her cause of death was. I wouldn't be surprised if it was cancer that she died of, but it could be. So getting a family history is important. So in coming to a conclusion, screening prevents the development of cancer. Or if you screen and you pick up something and you treat early, then the cure rate is higher than if the cancer has festered and then it becomes almost virtually incurable if it's spread. Healthcare in the United Kingdom is free. So why don't we as a people avail ourselves of the services? So my appeal to each and every one of us is, we only have one body. Let's treat it with utmost care. Let's give it the care it requires. Let's give it that MOT of checking ourselves. I mean, for example, I'll tell you recently, I mean, I cannot see my back. And the last time I went to the GP, I mean, I've told my son, can you have a look at my back? I've told my wife, can you have a look at my back? Just to make sure that there's no mole there. And the last time I went to my GP, I said, please help me look at my back. I hope there's no mole there. And like I said, I am not paranoid. I'm only doing my own MOT. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, that was powerful and very, very informative. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was Professor Rotimi Jayesimi, and he is a Group Associate Medical Director, Global Health Expert, and he's just touched on, in case you join us right in the middle of that, he was just talking to us on cancer in men and women, and the reason why it's very important for us to keep checking. I know they say this all the time, like as women, I feel like, there's so many things that they tell you to do, stand in front of the mirror, do this and do that, do the check. It only takes a few seconds. Like even if you're just going into the bath, just literally just touch, it takes a second. But while that was going on, I'm just going to share very quickly. We have some information. Like I said, everybody here is welcome to share their knowledge as well. Like I'm sure everyone has, one or two things that we can learn from. I have someone share here. I think there's more. Okay, all right. So somebody, Samira just shared, you can sign up for to the Copperfield. It's a free, and they send you text once in a while when you should check yourself. So I think this is what's it called, an organization. So when you sign up for it, they tell you, I guess, how often you need to check yourself, kind of like a reminder, because these are things that we forget. So in case anybody wants to take advantage of that, she said it's free. It's called Copperfield. You can sign up for that, and you'll be able to keep up to date with that. So once again, we are going to be taking question and answer at the end of it. For anyone at all that want to direct any question to Professor Rotimi, please, at the end of it, we are going to have a segment where you can ask any question. It could be personal, it could be anything at all that you want to know. And also to our first speaker, Antonia, who spoke on menopause, we're going to be directing any question you have to her as well. But because of our time, we want to try and stay within a 2-hour range. We have to go very quickly to our next speaker so that we'll be able to have that 10-15 minutes time to be able to ask a question. So we're going to go to our next speaker. And our next speaker is going to be talking to us about mental health awareness. And this, I feel like, is taking us back, because that is kind of how we started this mental resilience workshop. When we started, our first aim was to tackle our mental health. As we all know, during the pandemic, a lot of people were affected, and mental health became an all-time high. Like people really didn't really know what to do, how to deal, just like I felt like their life stopped. And this was one of the reasons why we started this workshop, in order to be able to help people with their mental health. And I'm so glad that, we've come back to it again full circle, and we're going to be touching on that. So we have our next speaker. She goes by the name of Dr. Toyin
Magbagbiola.
That was right on the tongue, right on my tongue. Let me say that again. Our next speaker, Dr. Toyin Magbagbiola, is a medical psychiatrist. And today she's going to be speaking to us on mental health awareness. So very quickly, I'm just going to read her profile. Dr. Toyin Magbagbiola is a psychiatrist currently working with adults with learning disability. She has experience of working in various psychiatric specialties, which include general adult, old age, addiction, and eating disorder. She is married and a mother to 3 beautiful ladies, an entrepreneur and beauty coach with Mary Kay Cosmetics for 25 years. She enjoys working especially with women to realize their dreams by looking good, both inside and outside, building self-confidence and self-esteem, and promoting well-being. She is also part of the Lonely Global Sisterhood Work Summit Connect, Renewing African Mindsets. The main talks are on mental health and well-being, especially in our community. Please welcome our next speaker, talking to us through mental health awareness, Toyin Magbagbiola.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you, Ebony Ambassador, for such an awesome program. Well needed in our community, well needed worldwide, but most especially for our community. And thank you, Claudia, for a good host today.
Yeah.
So my topic today is about mental health awareness. And I think it's something that in my community, when they hear mental health, everybody ducks. It's like Professor Rotimi Jaime said, it's not my portion. I'll pray against it. But you know what? Mental health itself is good health. So the fact that when people mention the word mental health, it doesn't really mean that there's something really wrong with you. It's just a general well-being, looking after ourselves. Like we look after our body, we look after our spirits by going to church, but we also have to look after our minds. So our mind is part of our body, and every single one of it also needs to have an MOT, like Professor Jaismi said. So when we think about mental health, what do we think? I always say, especially in our community, the main thing I've noticed is inability to express emotions. And I think that is so, so key. And some people might actually tell you that there's no word in my language for depression. There's no word in my language for schizophrenia or anxiety. So because there's no word that actually describes it, they believe that there's nothing like that actually exists. But it's very important to realize that all human beings are the same. It doesn't matter your color, and everybody has an emotion. But what is key within our community is start to learn and appreciate and acknowledge when we actually express our emotions. So when we talk about mental health, the good mental health is when you see someone who is happy, in a good place, always excited, always happy, doing things which we denote as a right way, because I always say there's nothing called normal, because everybody's variation of normal is different. But it's important that we know what are the emotions that we need to actually recognize as individuals. You need to recognize when you're sad, when you're unhappy, because those are the two things that in our community is easy for them to describe. But also in our community, sometimes when they're experiencing these emotions, they describe them as physical emotions. So you hear like, I don't know what's wrong with me. My tummy is hurting. Oh, my head is pounding. Oh, I'm having diarrhea. And these are classic symptoms of anxiety, where you feel as though, I'm sure most of you here have actually started exams. And you all have that experience at the beginning or the day of the exams. What happens to you? You start to sweat profusely. You find yourself going in and out of the toilet thinking, oh my God, I've got exams today. Yes, that is a natural, healthy anxiety symptom. But when we actually now experience this on a constant basis, where it's actually affecting your day activities, you're not able to do things, that is when you think, hang on, this symptom is longer than normal. This is not something that is not a regular pattern for me. And that brings us to the place where we say, you need to know your body. You need to know who you are, because in knowing who you are, you're able to then notice when there is a change. And also people around you, your families, your friends, because they know who you are and they notice something different, they're able to say, you know what, Toyin, there's something just not right. So you might not actually recognize it or be able to pinpoint it, but the people who know you well will say there's something different about you. So what are the common things that occur generally when you start to think, oh, there's something wrong with my mental health? The common thing that tends to happen is usually tiredness, especially for most of us in the UK, we work ungodly hours. Some of us work longer than normal because we think if we work more, we get more. And I say to people, when you work more, you pay more tax. So we need to be aware that how much is enough for us as an individual where we do not deprive ourselves of sleep. Sleep deprivation is a common factor within our community that could lead to issues with your mental health. So I always recommend sleep hygiene. If you don't sleep, the question you should ask yourself, why am I not sleeping? Classically is about worrying about something that you cannot change. I always say, if there's anything that you have no control over and nothing you can do about it, don't worry about it. I'm a Christian by faith, and I always say, you know what, leave it for the man up there to deal with. But anything that you can physically do yourself to alter the situation, then go ahead and do it. So it's very, very important that when you notice that you're being very, very tired, you need to ask yourself, why am I not having a good night's sleep? What are the things that people would describe? Oh, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling as though there's something in my head that's actually holding my head down. And you're thinking, there must be something. It's usually worry and worry and worry. And that usually is a classic problem that actually leads us to have abnormality in our mental health. So what other things do people say? They might say, you know what, I don't feel like going somewhere, but it's something that that person loves. They start to lose interest in general things that they love. Somebody who used to be very bubbly at parties, going out and seeing people, and all of a sudden they're out of sight. You don't hear from them. You call them, they don't respond to your call. It's always a warning sign that there's something happening in that person's life. It might not be pure mental health issues, but she's troubled. And I always advise, if you don't hear from a friend that you normally hear from regularly, please give them a call. Even if they don't pick up your call, leave them messages, and always leave message of encouragement, because you just never know where they're at that point. They usually will read the message, but might not be able to respond. So it's very, very key that we're actually very aware of that. What else also happens to us? For somebody who used to be cool, calm, and collected becomes very snappy. Every little thing, they get irritated. And you're thinking, what's your problem? That could be a warning sign that there's something actually happening in their lives, both men and women. So it's not just about women, men also, but it's actually more difficult for the men, because in our culture, it's as if men are not meant to have emotions. And part of what I'm trying to encourage that men need to start to speak. They do have emotions, they're human beings, they go through things, and it doesn't make you less a man expressing your emotions. I'll always say a man who expresses himself is 1.5 a man. A man who is not able to express themselves and holds everything in will always have difficulties. And this will always be noted either in family environments, within friends, and that's when you start to see the signs that there is something actually going wrong. So what other things actually happens? You find that somebody who used to be calm, collected, all of a sudden starts becoming very aggressive, either verbally or actually physically. And when you ask them, why are you doing what you're doing, they cannot actually describe or express themselves. And I always say at times like that, if you're close to that person, learn to communicate, because half of our problem within the community is we do not communicate what is going on. So it's not about, people always say, oh, why does she want to know my business? Oh, I don't want her to know what's going on with me. Oh, she's going to spread it and everybody will know. You know what I always say to people? If you're hurting, speak about it. That is not the point to worry who knows what. The most important is when you speak it and you discuss it with somebody, it actually releases you from the pressure of what you're going through. So don't worry about what people will say, worry about your mental health, because when you keep it in, then it will grow and fester. And what a lot of us don't want to do is end up in hospital. But what I've noticed in our community, they leave things for so long, they would have been seeing all these warning signs until it gets to a point where they need to then involve the mental health services. So there's a lot of things that we can actually do individually. And I always say, like I said earlier, the key is communication. Talk, listen. There's another common thing that people tend to do, most especially with our children, because I know it's not just for adults, it's also for children, is when your child withdraws. Sometimes you don't notice when they're actually withdrawing, because we know the millennials, the Gen Y, Gen Z, they love their room. They live in their room and they only come out when it's time to eat. I'm sure a lot of us can actually identify with that. But it is key as a parent that even though they're in their room, check up on them. Have that conversation. How are you today? How was school? How was work? And sometimes you can actually go in, because sometimes some of our children are very difficult. You can go in and say, I know you don't really want me to talk to you, but I don't really want you to talk to me. And I know you don't really want to talk to me, but I'm a naughty mom. I like to know everything. So I'm just checking how are you? Because the way you approach them and the way you communicate with them, we allow them to open up and let you know what is going on. Be part of their lives. I don't say you should be their best friend, as in friend buddy. There still has to be parent-children relationship, but make them have an atmosphere where they can actually open up and talk about their feelings. A lot of what I've noticed also in our community is parents don't want to talk to the children about certain issues. We need to move away from that. That is part of the mindset within our community that we need to change. Your children, you'll be surprised, especially if they're brought up in the UK, they probably know more than you do. I can assure you that. If you go and speak to any child between the age of 7 and 10 about depression, they can rattle and rattle everything to you. But you as an adult, because of the cultural background that we've come in, we kind of think, no, I can't tell them about it. Oh, no, they shouldn't know. Oh, they're too young to know. They don't wait for us. They already have collected that information. So what are the other things that might show that there might be a mental health issue? Loss of appetite. You normally eat well, and all of a sudden, food, you think, I don't feel like eating. No, I don't like this food. And then you start to lose weight. Or it could be the other side where you find yourself comfort eating. So I always say, sometimes when we have patients coming in and they're like, oh, they're not losing weight, they don't have to be depressed. I always say, mind, you need to know the cultural background. Because some of us, when we're not happy, we sit down and we binge and we eat to our heart's content. So sometimes you probably notice, even in the pandemic, some people put on weight, not because the food was there, but they could not cope with the isolation, being alone. So they actually started to comfort eat, which might actually mask that they might be going through a depression. So that is a key to thing. Another thing that we also notice, apart from general things of life, environmental factors that could actually trigger some of these symptoms, we need to also be mindful of our body, like Professor Jaisini mentioned. What is your body telling you? What do you see on your body that might be causing you certain things? Because we do have medical conditions that actually present initially as a mental health issue. And believe it or not, the most one that actually occurs is actually vitamin D deficiency. A lot of people are vitamin D deficient because as Africans, we've moved from a hot climate into a cold climate, whereby our melanin are not triggered and excited as they normally should be. And also we spend half our lives indoors or in the car or in the office. So even the little thing that comes from the sky, we're not opportune to actually use it. And what is so interesting, I spoke to a GP friend who said, you know what, as Africans, we actually need 2 hours in the sun to get enough vitamin D for us. So I said to her, maybe I should lead a campaign where we say we need to have 2 hours lunch break so that we can actually get our sunshine. But it's important that there's some key things. Part of our MOT as a Black community is to check your vitamin D levels with your GP when you go and do your blood test. Another common thing that people don't realize is your thyroid function test. Your thyroid is another organ of the body where it can actually present depression, hypomania, and classic thing is when you notice, you look at your neck and you notice a bulge. Because sometimes I've observed when I'm watching Nollywood, as a doctor, you're kind of very observant. You see women with big lumps and I'm thinking, God, she's got a thyroid problem. Nobody's going to tell her. So it's another thing that it's an obvious thing when you see it. And if you're not too sure, check it out with your GP because it's something that can be treated and will stop them from actually referring you to the psychiatrist when you present with a psychiatric symptom. So it's very important that we do that. So what else happens to us? What else do we have to look out for? We need to also look out for things. Most of these symptoms are natural things that happen, but when, like I said in the beginning, when it becomes a part of you, becomes regular, and it starts to affect your quality of life. because there are people who are depressed and don't need to be on medication. There's some people who have anxiety and don't need to be on medication. There's some people with OCD and don't need to be on medication because they have learned to know their body and they've learned techniques to help them walk through these things when they actually happen. So it's very, very important that we are aware of our mind, like we are aware of our body, and like we are aware of our spirit. Because in this totality, that is what the body actually encompasses. So as Black people in my community, I always say, when you feel that things are not going right, the first port of call is a conversation, either with somebody who you can confide with, or visit your GP and have that conversation. A lot of mental health issues can be nipped in the bud by talking. And that's when people are being referred to the therapist. There's nothing wrong with having a psychologist, because in America it's a standard thing. Every average person in America has a shrink. It's not because they're mad. It's because they know they need a place where they can actually offload if they're having issues, talk through things, strategize, teach them techniques to actually manage this situation. And I think I would encourage a lot of us in our community to take it on board, because when you see a psychologist in the UK, the GP doesn't have to refer you to the psychiatrist for you to do that. It can be done without the involvement of a psychiatrist. So a lot of this can be sorted out before you get to that point. Yes, there are diagnoses that need to be looked into, genetic, because there are things, mental health issues that are actually genetic, like any other condition in the body. The brain is part of the body, so the brain can also go wrong. And the classic thing that a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to go on antidepressants, because if I go on antidepressants, I'll be on it forever. You know what? I always say to people, my best technique of getting people to maintain, if they need to be on their medication, I look at them as, think about somebody who is diabetic and needs insulin. They will never stop taking their insulin because they think they know they need it to survive and be alive. So it's the same concept. When the brain has reduced hormones, which we call the serotonin, sometimes it needs to be topped up. So some might top up and then be normal because they're eating well, they're doing everything that they need to do, engaging with therapy, talking through things. Then it's possible for them to come off the antidepressant medication. But some people need it for life, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Because a lot of us are currently on medication for life. But because it's not mental health, we kind of think it's okay. So what I want to dispel, the brain is like the stomach, like the liver, like the uterus. It needs to be fixed when it needs to be fixed. So those are the things I just thought we should all be aware of. Don't be afraid to talk, because most of what we do is talk through things. And once you're able to talk through things, you learn strategies to help that. I'm not sure how much time I have left.
We're on the time. We have time for questions. But if you have anything else, we have time for questions. But if you have anything else to add very quickly.
No, I think the most important, the other thing that I would mention as well. Yeah, somebody talked about creepy crawling. Yeah, anxiety is a natural response of a human being. But like I said, if it actually becomes persistent, consistent, and affecting your quality of life, then you need to do something about it. And like I said, therapy can work through. If you need to be on medication, it's fine. But what we want to work through within our community is not get to that point where medication is needed. Because I know in our culture, medication always seems like a no-no. So, but if we can avoid that, then we need to put strategies in place so that we can actually start to look after the mind, that we don't end up on the other end where we actually need medication. On that note, I'll stop. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was very insightful. It's been amazing. I didn't want that to stop, but because of our time, and I know there's so many questions that's going to be directed to you, so we're going to have opportunity to talk a little bit more. Like I said, if you have any questions you want to direct to all our speakers, now we've had all of our speakers, For those who are just joining us, in case you've missed anything, we had our first speaker, Antonia. She talked about menopause. We had our second speaker, Professor Rotimi, and he talked about cancer in men and women. And we had our amazing third speaker, Dr. Toyin, that just finished, and she spoke on mental health awareness. So now, before we go into the question, like I said, we're going to stop recording just so we want to give people the opportunity to really be able to ask the question without the fear of anything. Like, we want you to be comfortable. But before that, I'm going to give it back to the CEO just so she can end the meeting and do a vote of thanks before we answer the question. But very quickly, for the sake of this event, like I said, this event has been sponsored and we want them to be able to continue to sponsor us. And the only way that we can achieve that is for us to be able to show them the turnout. Today, we've had an amazing turnout, probably one of the big turnouts that we've had in a while. And we are so privileged to have all of you guys here. We just want to take quick pictures so that we'll be able to share this on our social platform and also for future references as well. Thank you very much. If you're able to turn on your video very quickly so we can take the pictures, that would be great. If not, we're going to take the pictures in 5 seconds. So if you want to turn on your video very, very quickly, that would be very helpful so that we do not have too many blank screen. Oh, you guys are so great. Look at all of your pretty faces. Thank you, guys. Okay, all right, we're going to take the pictures very quickly. Okay, I'm going to slide. We have 2 slides here, so we're going to try and, okay. Thank you very much. Okay, all right, that's it. Okay, once again, I want everyone to have the opportunity to ask questions. Like, I feel like they've talked about important topics and I feel like everyone needs to be able to ask questions, okay? So we're gonna come back to that very quickly. I'm gonna try back to our CEO so that she can just give a vote of thanks and then we'll come back to the questions. Over to you, Irene.
Thank you, Goldie. I want to thank everyone, all our speakers for today. You've really done justice to those topics, and I appreciate it so much. And to everyone that have joined today, we want to say thank you. As Goldie said, this is one of our biggest turn-up, and I think it's a topic that we picked and it's of interest to everybody, including me. As I was speaking to Dr. Tony yesterday, and she was telling me that one of the causes of mental health is lack of vitamin D. I said, wow, I wasn't even aware of that. So this is really an educative platform for all of us today. We've learned new things. We've improved in our previous, I would say, ideas of things that we know before. We've known more and better things as well. This event is sponsored by the Big Lottery Fund. As we all know, Ebony is an organization that's into skills empowerment. So we do a lot in empowering our, mostly say, African youth in diaspora to gain skills. But during the pandemic, we took up this initiative of organizing a mental resilience workshop that we did successfully 6 months last year. And it was due to the positive impact of this workshop that we were asked to repeat it again. So we had to do this from January till, it started early March and we'll run it through to September. So please look forward to our next event. The next mental resilience workshop will be 22nd of April, and we will be celebrating World Creative and Innovative Day. Definitely we'll come up with a topic that will rhyme with this topic I just mentioned, or the theme I just mentioned. 21st of April is World Creative and Innovative Day. So we'll do something in relates to that theme. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone that have joined. I appreciate you all, and let's keep inviting others. Over to you, Goldie.
Okay, thank you. And very quickly, still in celebration of the event, this actually is tag the event Understanding Your Body. World Health Day is actually on the 7th of April. So this is kind of like an early event because we know we're not going to have any event for around that period. So this is actually our own World Health Day event, hence why we had the topic Understanding Your Body. So it's in celebration of World Health Day, which is on the 7th of April. Okay, now to the questions, okay? We are going to stop recording, I believe, Irene, right?